Oh, we do have a game here at Parc y Scarlets. What a comeback by 14-man Munster. Kevin O'Byrne, the try scorer. Now it needs Ben Healy to strike it well again. He has. We're all square at Parc y Scarlets. 27 points apiece. Effort. And they've got the penalty.
20, no release. 20, no release.
27 points to 17. Munster trailed. This to win the game. Has it got the legs? Oh my word, that is fantastic. Oh, Munster race towards Ben Healy, the replacement outside half. Look at this for a celebration.
Here they come again with Gavin Coombs, Jack O'Donoghue, James Cronin.
Keep your feet still.
77th minute here, Salanoa again. No way through for Kevin O'Byrne. CJ Stander, so dangerous, so difficult to stop, and so strong from 2 metres out. And the Munster captain pile drives his way over the try line. It's all on the shoulders now of Ben Healy, and he gets the conversion. Here comes the momentum. Cardiff not set well here at all. Try line beckons, and the try line is breached. Really good execution from Kevin O'Byrne, but the Mull defence from Cardiff sadly lacking there. They were never set to deal with that surge forward. Munster's attack momentarily grinds to a halt, and then it's off again. Dealande, oh, Sweetenham gets it away. Scuttle, oh, unbelievable try. Absolutely brilliant out of Munster, and finished off by JJ Hanrahan.
Klein. Kick through. Oh, this could be a glorious score. It is indeed for Calvin Nash. Lovely little kick through from Rory Scannell. Point lead of Munster. Line-out functions well again. Pre-planned move, Delande. Oh, lovely little drift on the outside, and this is going to be a second score for the fullback, Matt Gallagher, and a third try for Munster.
Picked up and hoovered up instead by Healy, and Healy goes through the gap, and Healy goes through the gears, and Healy scores for Munster. Munster get the penalty and they tap and go, and it's that man again. Oh, what a game he's having.
More defending to do for the Warriors. This time it's Coombs with the take at the front. They try to get them all going, breaking off the side of it, and he's got there. Munster had the first try.
Everyone relax. Take your own players.
Off first phase ball, and it's skipper Billy Holland who's got there. Now they have another dig at the line, and one more with O'Donoghue, who just can't quite wrestle the ball over, but they have now. Munster celebrate a third try. And it is that man, Gavin Coombs.
The opening 2 games of the Guinness PRO14 finds Jack O'Donoghue. Oh, little kick over the top, all on the points here, and it's perfect. Absolutely perfect for Dan Goggin. Switch back inside, oh, that's very nice. Really nice between the half-backs, and it's going to result in a try. Wonderful execution and invention, sleight of hand. Siciliano was over it and making it very, very slow ball for Munster. Hanrahan pops one over the top to Goggin. They may well get another try here. And it's a really, really nice finish to the game. And a try for Thomas Ahern in the corner.
Liam Coombs, it's another advantage. Little flick on the inside, and over they go through Darren Sweetenham, who gets the try for Munster. And the men from the south do finish on a high.
The whole team did no game last week. This is a good result for Munster, and for Ulster it's a win, but a bonus point would have been nice.
Jack Crowley with the conversion, very tight scoreline.
Murray assesses the options, and there is space, and he finds space, and the first try comes in the 19th minute from Chris Farrell. Good contact, lovely connection. The only little puff of breeze there is around Thomond Park is behind JJ Hanrahan. That's a really, really good strike. What a start that is for the Munster fly half, JJ Hanrahan. The ball's a little bit slow. Scott Hardy's on the wrong side. How does referee Andrew Brace see that? It's okay to continue. Tadhg for the line, and have they driven him over? Very, very close there. The support player arrived to the ball carrier, Jean Klein and Tadhg, the two lock forwards working in tandem.
It's a long competition, little kick over the top. Where's this one off to? And it's going to be grounded, I think. Well, Darren Sweetenham is latched onto that one, and I think on first viewing that's going to be awarded as a try. It should have been dealt with by the Benetton defence. Hayward watched it, comes off his knee, and then it's grounded. It goes to Riera, but it's intercepted out wide by Liam Coombs, and Coombs pops it back inside, and McCarthy's away, and Munster are almost going to get there. They have got there. It's Scannell. Niall Scannell in for Munster's second try. Additional time. The ball was there. Back in the pocket is Hanrahan. Drop it goal to win it. Would you believe it? Would you believe that? The final play of the game.
Twitter again in there, digging deep. It's Scannell. And now a final charge in over the line. Jack O'Donoghue. Twitter again. His teammates coming again. There's advantage here for Munster, and Casey looks through. Don't the would-be tacklers, which he does, and the scrum half is over. Munster's second try.
This is where they're good. This is where they take their time.
Must be Pickens. Jean Klein from the second row. That inevitability.
It's not the Guinness player of the match, but Peter has been just as good. The 7 for Munster.
It's the Munster forwards who may have the final say. This is an excellent driving maul. Darren Sweetenham is tempted to come in. He's in. Welcome back, Joey. Looks pretty good.
Almost burrowing his way on the Thomond Park turf towards that Connacht try line. Can they even the game up here from close range? That looks pretty good. Mike Haley's off in chase here, and he's got it in the second attempt, and now he's got a little bit of space. Haley digs one in behind, all on the bounce, and can he collect it? Mike Haley for the line. That's brilliant from the Munster fullback. Carberry splits the uprights, and it's 7 points in the bag for Munster. Ball was a little bit slow to arrive to him. Now McCarthy puts it through the hands. The Allende, so powerful and strong in that position. Munster have been in this 5-metre channel for about 10 minutes now. Can they get a 5-pointer? Yes, they can. Carberry with a little bit of time, and he can be very dangerous in these kind of situations. Picks his way through the traffic. Carberry now up to that score. That's 22. Gets his pass away. Can they stop Shane Daly? Absolutely not. And there is a little bit of a flash of exactly what Munster and Irish rugby have been missing in Joey Carberry. It's going to have to come round from the right hand side, but it's on a string at the moment for Joey Carberry. And get his hands on the ball. It's there for McCarthy again. There was a little bit of space out wide. Oh, it's a lovely little exchange of passes, and Munster get in with a try. Clute on the drive. Now can they force their way over? That looks certain to be a try, and it is a try. 58 minute in, relentless pressure from Munster, and well, he's only been on the park about 2 minutes, and Roman Salanoa gets Munster's third try of the evening. Oh, that's good stuff from Daly, and over the top and now into the wide expanse for Coombs. So many options on the inside. Healy gets in for the bonus point try.
Ultan O'Callaghan actually used to set up guys coming down. I think Peter Romani came down, Paul O'Connell came down for a session, Donnacha O'Callaghan came down, Donnacha Ryan. It was hugely beneficial to kind of to give you the spur that, you know, it is possible, and these guys, you know, they're not superheroes, they're guys who worked hard when they were younger, and it shows that we're not forgotten about, That shows the inclusiveness of Munster rugby and how important it is to include all of Munster, not just, the big clubs in Limerick and Cork City. And we're unbelievably fortunate that it's kind of come full circle, and now we're playing with the likes of these guys. It's unbelievable.
Hi, it's Katrina Tierney here with you with our first ever Munster Rugby at Home broadcast, brought to you by Bank of Ireland, #Never Stop Competing. Well, it's going to be a cracking game here today against Leinster, and very shortly I'll be joined live in studio by our very special guests, that's Niamh Briggs and Jonny Holland. We're going to be talking before the game, and of course you'll get to go and enjoy the match then on TG Cahir Air. But don't forget to join us at half-time as well. We'll have plenty of analysis, and also post-game, hopefully, when we'll be celebrating a win. Now, before that though, let's find out what Johan van Graan had to say in this week's press conference.
It's real satisfying from our point of view, and now it's about the final, and like I said before, massive challenge against Leinster, away at the RDS, but great for the squad that we reached this point in our season. CJ has been fantastic for Irish and Munster rugby, and he's played over 150 games for the club. And we've got a final to look forward to, but this is not the end for CJ at Munster. We've got an European tie after this with Toulouse, and a whole host of games up until the end of June. So it's another step in our journey of the season. But from CJ's individual point of view, great for him to get a win in his last test for Ireland. And he was very emotional, and it was a great send-off for him. But he came in on Monday, and he said, this is a massive game for the club, and it's never been about him. It's always been about the club, and his character speaks for itself in terms of that. So look, it'll be great to win this game for a whole lot of reasons, and one of them will be CJ. Look, they're a class outfit. No weaknesses in that team. All across the board, they're a very well-oiled machine. So, I don't think a final is about trick plays. Every team will have something up their sleeves, both sides of the ball. But this is about doing your basics well. And finals are strange things, and it's about the team who handles the pressure the most. So, we'll go in with our basic plan and execute that as well as we can, and then adapt on the day, whether that's the opponents or the weather conditions or the referee or the scoreboard. We'll be looking to execute our basics exceptionally well and then adapt on the day. Tom, I think continuity is a big thing in our play. The coaching group have been together now for the best part of 2 seasons. I think our set piece and our line-out variation have gone very well. I think we've got a good variety in our kicking game. I felt we varied it very well of 9 and 10 and some kicking in the wider channels. Now I think defensively we've evolved quite a lot in terms of when to poach and when not. And we've scored some brilliant counter-attacking tries, something that we've been working on very hard, and we scored 2 brilliant ones over the last few weeks. The one from Mike Haley and the one from Shane Daly. And then continuity in the small things, the non-glamorous things, the ball presentation, the breakdown work, our consistency of our passing. I felt we did some really good things in the Benetton game. If you look at the try that Ben Healy scored in terms of our pass quality. So we said we need to get better in all areas, and that's what you look for in a season is to get better. And I believe we have, and now it's producing on the day that it matters the most, and that's in a final. And Tom, we said that we're coming up against possibly the best team in Europe. Certainly in the PRO14 over the last 3 seasons, and they're playing at their home ground. So we're under no illusions that we'll have to be at our best to beat them. And it's a great challenge in front of us, and we believe that we've improved through the season, and that will be put to the test on Saturday afternoon. Yeah, I think, the last few times we've played them, it has been very marginal, and we've looked back at those games, and I don't think the last time we played them, our line-out wasn't where it needed to be. We let them back into the game towards the end of the first half with a penalty, and it's just small areas like that. We just need to be a bit more consistent and in those areas, and I think set piece is going to be huge for us, and that's something we've definitely improved on massively over the last few months, and that's obviously from a forwards point of view, and we're going to be putting massive pressure on ourselves to deliver there. It's very much system dependent, I suppose. Each team has a different system, the different way they play. So second round six can be completely different in terms of what's asked of you from the coaches. So from a personal point of view, in the systems I generally do play within Ireland and Munster. I do prefer to play in the row, as I seem to be able to get a little bit more involved, and I do enjoy being involved as much as I can in the game. So preference wise, it always depends on the system that the coaches are asking of you, but for now it's definitely in the row. Johan put up on our board, I think it was 53 or 54 players who've contributed to the Pro 14 this season already. That's a phenomenal number, I don't know if Munster have managed to do that before, but it just shows the strength and depth that we do have within our squad, and it's a really exciting time going forward for the rest of the season, and especially this week.
So there you have it, Johan van Graan there and Tadhg Byrne talking about today's final. Now, for more details, you can go to the description on this video where you'll find our digital download for our programme today. So do go there. But before we do that, we have to talk to our special guests in studio today. So hopefully we're going to be joined live now by Jonny Holland and Niamh Briggs. And there they are. Hey guys, how you doing?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Great. And Jonny, of course, you are in Cork today, is that right?
Yeah, in Cork at home, the new virtual studio. But very much looking forward to it. It's going to be a cracker, isn't it?
Absolutely. Of course, former Munster out half yourself and now working as a senior assistant coach with Cork Con. And you're coming from Cork today. We're great. We have the Cork and the Limerick representation because Niamh, you are coming live from Limerick, former international Irish rugby women's captain, of course, and a club close to my own heart, UL Bows, of course, coaching there, and for the Munster ladies as well. Welcome from Limerick. I hope you can hear us. I think you might be on mute, Niamh. That's what's going to happen in these situations. So just unmute us there.
Oh, sorry. My apologies.
There you go. Well, that's that out of the way. So we've got all the mute situations. Welcome, Niamh. How are you feeling about today?
Good. Yeah, nervous. I think anxious, excited. Really looking forward to it. As Jonny said, I think it's going to be a cracking game.
I love the concept of today, guys. Isn't the studio looking fantastic? It's just such a great idea.
The couch looks unreal. I just don't have that behind me, but
very comfy.
You look grand and comfortable, yeah.
Absolutely. I think what we all find because of the pandemic and we can't get to go to the game, it's just so lovely to have a voice again here today with you guys. So I want to thank you for being with us here today. I want to thank Bank of Ireland for making this possible and all the team in Munster in the background here that have made today so possible. And just to give us a little bit of a voice back and just to remind everyone at home that we want to hear their voice. And so we have the hashtag Never Stop Competing, which we're running throughout the game. And we would love you to tweet your moment, hashtag Never Stop Competing, the moment that you think represents best in the game. And guys, I'm going to be asking for yours a little bit later, but I suppose we have to start off today just talking. I'm still on a high. You guys must be still on a high from the buzz of the Six Nations. Niamh, we start with you on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, it was a difficult start for some of them individually and then as a collective in the first couple of games. But I think as the tournament went on, Ireland definitely got better, and more importantly, the Munster players started to get into the groove. And by the time it came to the last game, it was unbelievable. And there was a lot of talk in the media this week about whether the provinces would be locked and loaded this week because of the run of games coming up. But after a win like that, I'm sure they're all knocking on Van Grand's door Monday morning saying, look, put me in, I'm ready to go, because momentum, confidence, there's such huge things in rugby, and they'll be bouncing back into camp this week.
What about you, Jonny? Do you think, I thought when I heard, of course, CJ, we were all very upset to hear that he would be leaving, but nonetheless, it was happening. But I felt like that really put emotion into the game for Ireland. And do you feel maybe now for our game today, the fact that we're losing Billy Holland, it's such an emotional time for us here at Munster, and obviously CJ as well, and that maybe we can take that emotion going forward into this game, and that will spur us on today?
Yeah, I think emotion counts for a lot. I heard Billy speaking during the week, and it was great to see him get a small bit of the limelight, because I don't think he gets enough of it. But I think he made a good point that it's not emotional for the whole week. You have to you have to get Irish guys back into camp, and you have to kind of reintegrate them, and you have to kind of make sure that your processes, your systems, and all that stuff is working properly, and then that you're gelling and you're getting back, kind of getting that Munster banter back, I suppose, the same dressing room, getting that back together, and that's very important. But I think if you look back at the end of the Six Nations, I think Ireland versus England, it gave Munster that blueprint to go ahead this weekend, because you look at Ireland and England had all the momentum. They had all like the last 4 wins or something, wasn't it? So and they were kind of the powerhouse, the dominant side, the physical side. And if you look at this fixture today, you probably look at Leinster and think they're the dominant side, they're the ones with the momentum. You could argue Munster have a lot of momentum coming into this, but Leinster's still going for 4 in a trot, and to pretty much run away with this league for the last couple of years. So I think before you get into all the emotional side of it, I think the Six Nations has actually given Munster quite a good blueprint to actually go and play. And I think Ireland did that against England. They didn't just go out and kick the ball like we expected them to. They actually played another bit, and that's probably going to be the same thing with Munster today. But yeah, of course, you have to. I think the emotion comes into it when you hit that dark place and you're not sure how much you have left to give. You think about CJ and you think about the other guys, particularly Billy and what he stands for. I think they're going to come into the back of everyone's heads. And this team is transitioning really well, and there's a load of guys coming on, but there's a little transition on the other side of that as well. And it's going to be sad to see some of those guys go.
Yeah, I think when I think of Billy and CJ, but I just think of the quintessential Pro 14 players. And so definitely that's going to be inspiration, isn't it, Niamh, today for the guys, because we've come so far. We can do so much with our set pieces. We can be as prepared as possible. But at the end of the day, emotion does play a lot in this game. And especially, I know we were talking during the week and we were talking about the underdog status. And once again, the bookies, of course, quite rightly have Leinster ahead. They're the top team in the Pro 14, and one would say one of the top in Europe. But that underdog tag, even though I did hear Leo Cullen trying to take it a little bit and trying to say that they were now the underdog, I'm not taking that, by the way, because we are, and we've a mammoth task ahead of us. But yeah, that emotion is going to help, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as much as rugby is attritional and very physical, it's also very emotional. And if you can't get to the pitch of that, you can be left on the wrong side of a result. I think that's probably the reason why Ireland did so well over the last couple of games in Six Nations, because they managed to get that balance of being up there emotionally, but also matching it with control. I think that's going to be really important for Munster. And, Leinster will have had a different week this week. 19-3 up at home last weekend against the Ospreys, and to lose that match, that's like something that's never really happened to this group of players before. So it'll be really interesting to see how they bounce back from that. I think it's Johnny was talking about the England-Ireland analogy. You can almost say that England aren't very good when they go behind. Leinster could be the same. I think, they have the ability to be able to win games when they're not playing well, but it's not often that when they go behind, like they did last weekend, with a big lead, that they're not being able to claw it back. So there'll be moments of doubt in those players' minds this week, and that'll be something they'll have talked about for sure. But so yeah, look, I think that Munster definitely, with the Billy effect especially, I think, as Jonny was saying, it was great to see him get limelight for it. I think he's been an unbelievable player for Munster, and probably at a time when it was the toughest to be in the position that he was in. He came in under Paulie and Donnacha O'Callaghan, and he had to bide his time and yet stayed and worked for it. And that resilience and that mentality only exuberates the type of person that he is, he and the type of teammate that he is. And for that reason, I think, they'll definitely be mentally up for today because of it.
Now, it's funny you mentioned that, Niamh, because that was my next question. I was taking a look and doing a little bit of analysis in the lead up to this game, and I was trying to just find a weak point with Leinster, and I was just looking at the team selection, and and I know what you're saying with the psychological side of things, but looking at the teams, and I'll throw this one to you, Jonny. I mean, these guys are on fire at the moment. You cannot deny, like, they're the top of their game, and they are in for this as much as anyone. And I don't care. I've heard some people say, oh, well, it's going to be their fourth, and, it doesn't matter to them as much as, it does to us after 10 years. That is absolutely not true. These guys are not top of their game for no reason. They are going in for this. They want to get the fourth in a row. Absolutely. And going forward. So, if by looking at the team yourself and the selection and stuff, any indicators there about any weaknesses that we can exploit, or because at the moment I'm trying to find a chink in the armor, and it's very hard. These guys are right at the top of their game right now.
I think you look at both sides, it's actually very hard to pick out a weakness, and you'd be kind of thinking about where Leinster are in their dressing room and who they're going to go after as well, because in fairness to the Munster side, they've Gavin Coombs coming in at 6. He looks like he's rock solid now. Like he looks like he's been there for the last couple of years at this stage, and he's driving himself over the line with the likes of James Cronin, just burying him over that line as well through contact. So I think from both sides it's going to be very difficult. Like, you look at, if you're to be very, very critical, Cian Healy, how much is he in his legs after the last couple of weeks? He's pushing on a small bit, but at the same time, they're fairly big legs. I don't think he's going to be. I don't think he's going to be taking a backward step. But you look at Jordan Larmour, hasn't had a lot of game time in the last couple of weeks either, and you can see the frustration with him. Jesus, I was frustrated for him, and I would have been someone saying that he's a weak link at the moment in the Irish camp, and then all of a sudden James Lowe becomes a possible weak link and loses his spot, and all of a sudden Larmour's not in there again. So I think, like, as much as I would have criticised him to a degree, which I don't like doing with players, but if you were to be very objective about it, his aerial game is weak, and it's something that Munster could look at. Now, I think he should have got more game time. If you look at a Six Nations campaign and how much he played, he should definitely have got more game time. But Munster will look at that aerial battle and probably go after it again. But at the same time, this is it's the repeated conversation that we're after having since the lockdown opened up again, and Munster played Leinster twice in a couple of weeks. And you look at the first game, they won that aerial battle and they went very close. And then you come back in a couple of weeks' time, and Leinster are after solving that problem. They're after crowding around Jordan Larmour and giving him that protection that he needs. And then they answer all those questions. So I think if Munster go into this game thinking that, the aerial game is where they're going to win it, I think we're going to be under a little bit of pressure. You could look through their team and think, how much game time has Ross Byrne got in the last couple of weeks? Should that have been Harry Byrne, or could it be Johnny Sexton? And then you look at maybe Rory Loughlin at 13, so solid and does a really good job. And he's there all year round. But, you look at the quality on both sides, and there's internationals propping up everywhere. So it's very, very difficult. So I'm looking forward to seeing where they actually attack. But there's probably a couple of areas that they may go for. It's just not going to be very easy to kind of capitalise on that, is it?
No, not very easy at all. Niamh, I'm going to put that back to you as well. I mean, picking up on Johnny's point there, obviously, there's going to be a lot of players that want to prove a point today. It's great to see the internationals back, and it's such a busy time. I mean, it's just the way it is with the scheduling. We're just so grateful that there is rugby to watch, and thanks to, everybody keeping the game going safely, that we, the fans, we might not be there, but that we can enjoy it. But at the same time, I mean, talk about a scheduling nightmare. It's such a quick turnaround. Who would have thought it, from Six Nations to today's final, and then moving forward then next week for Heineken Cup action. But if you were looking at the team yourself, then even just looking at the selections and the psychology behind that, and any weak points that you have seen in either Munster or Leinster, both. Let's focus on Leinster for the moment. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, 100%. I think as Jonny said, I think the pack are going to play a huge role in this, and if Munster can kind of get on top of Leinster's pack and that back row, they'll be doing really well. It will enable us to have front football and be able to play a type of game that the likes of Conor and Joey probably want to be playing. But they also have their own thing going on. It's obviously Devin Donor is becoming the most capped Leinster player today, and I'm sure he's hurting too that he wasn't in that Irish squad, in terms of he came out this week and said he definitely has another couple of years in him. And Porter's gone from playing 80 minutes nearly every game to basically jumping straight away behind Ty Furlong, and the mental battle that holds. Does he feel like now he's under extra pressure to try and provide something? So yeah, look, I think it's going to be very interesting. I think the starting of Ross Byrne is one that I question. I don't know, whether it's obviously a minutes thing for Johnny Sexton. He was probably written off before it started Six Nations in terms of inability to put back-to-back games together and then even to complete 80 minutes in one game. And then all of a sudden he does 2 or 3 on the bounce, and we're talking about him in Alliance contention. So he's probably, been rested or minded to a little bit. But then, Ross Byrne's in and around that Irish camp and had lots of opportunities to try and break his way into that substitute bench almost, and didn't really take it. And look, he's a phenomenal player. I think he does the basics really well. His kicking game on the run is unbelievable, and that's probably what opened up Munster in Thomond Park in the last game, and it's that little bit of magic. But his ability to take the ball to the line isn't as strong as Johnny's or Harry Burns, and I think that's an area that Munster can put pressure on him if they can get up. But then you've got to try and shut down probably the most informed player in Ireland at the moment, Robbie Henshaw. So there's going to be loads of little mini battles, I think, all over the pitch, and one that I'm really looking forward to. But I definitely do think, as Johnny said, that that aerial battle will be huge, and I really hope that Munster don't go back to that constant kick, because I think the way the attack has evolved under Steve Larkham, and especially over the last probably 6 or 7 months, the ability to play those little pop passes and the ones out behind the back, and their ability to move the point to contact has really, evolved their game a lot. And sometimes when the pressure is on, and in big finals the pressure is going to be on, we really don't want to revert back to what we're comfortable with, because I think that will just play into Leinster's hands. I wish we would take a leaf out of Ireland's book like we did last week and be brave and courageous and go and play.
Yeah, absolutely. This is not the time for complacency, and I just feel like at the moment both teams are at the top of their game, and this is the time to push forward. You mentioned a mental battle there, and I'm going to throw this back to you first, Jonny, and then back to you, Niamh. But we got to talk about Joey. Got to talk about Joey Carberry. I mean, I don't know about you guys, the lift that it has given me as a Munster fan and everyone I know, just that he's back. You were just cheering for him, but it's a big ask. It's a tough game for him. And both yourself and Jonny, of course, as out-halves and kickers yourself, more than anything, you'll know the psychology of it. And also both of you who have had injuries in the past, and how that is. Jonny, we'll start with you, and of course your injury yourself, and how you would know more than anyone. How is Joey? How is he feeling right now? All the pressure is on, coming back into the game. Will he be watching himself? Is it full tilt? It's a hard one. So, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I think it's a real confidence thing. Munster have gone with him, and that's what we expected. We expected the last couple of weeks that they were going to be looking for game time for Joey, when all of a sudden he just came back, and you can feel the excitement around it. And I said in the last couple of weeks that it's probably the first time since I had my own injury that I turned back into a right fanboy, and it's because of Joey Carberry. So if you think about the way the province are thinking about this guy as well, all the supporters, there's been people texting me in the last couple of days being like, can't wait for Joey Carberry to get on that stage, and it's a massive platform for him as well. If he's going to get back into that Irish camp, which we all kind of know he will do once he stays injury free, it's just such a huge opportunity, and I hope that he looks at it like that, and he's not going to mind himself. He hasn't minded himself in the last couple of weeks, and we haven't minded him either, because at the start you're trying to be mature about Joey's career, like all of us have a say in the matter, but you're kind of going, right, Munster, give him 20 minutes now, give him 40 minutes the next time, give him 60 minutes from the start, and they did that. And then I thought he'd get the start in the last game to prep for it, but they rested him, and they've obviously managed him really well. But I think the expectation around that was, right, let's not put him under any pressure, let him just go in and feel his way through the game. And Joey's come out of the blocks, handing Shane Daly off to give Shane the try to go under a post. It's just magic, So there's probably a lot of excitement and expectation around Joey, and he's the kind of key to the whole thing. But not to forget as well, the guy that's on the bench behind him is JJ, and JJ blocked my career the whole way up in the best possible way. Yeah, he's he's an unbelievable kicker. You see, he's he's got that kind of mental steel when he needs it. He's kicking drop goals when Munster need it. He's solid off the boot. And I know things have not gone his way all the time, and there's a 3-point swing or a 6-point swing every now and then. But, I think we're very, very strong in that position. But you see Joey just clipping the ball over a bar as if it's nothing, like he's chipping it from the sideline, and he just kind of looks like he's out there doing his thing. But I think, it does come back to how you approach it and the mental side of it. And, there'll be a collective thing, and the collective is that Joey needs to stand up in the middle and be the one to guide us around the pitch. But there's going to be the collective, and there's going to be Joey as the individual here as well. And, as a player coming back from injury against his former side, such a limelight for Irish jerseys, it's a huge one. And you say as a player it's about the team and it's about the lads and all this. It's not. Like, he's in his own head thinking, what am I going to do here? And there's a real feeling of like, I wouldn't say isolation, because you're obviously you're in the squad, but like you're thinking about your own situation as well. Maybe your injury, your mental side, how are you going to go about the game? But it's all very much, how are you going to do the things that you need to do to put the team into places that they need to go to win the game? And I think if Joey doesn't realise how much this means to Munster at the moment, he'd be in the wrong jersey. So like, it's absolutely huge, and I think the pressure on him is huge. But that with pressure comes a massive opportunity for him to be the guy to deliver that, and it's, hopefully that'll go down in a little bit of folklore and turning the tide, and he becomes the real Munster man that we know he's becoming.
Absolutely. I'm laughing when you say there about expectations. When I heard during the week, and I was talking to a few people there, oh my God, we could see him in the lines. And I was like, calm down. He doesn't have enough game time. Can we just see it through to Munster? Niamh,
in there.
He's so in there. So I know, and you would, but, not enough game time, obviously, Niamh. But we focus on this game and the game at hand. And obviously, as Jonny was saying there, the pressure is on. And we just want to see how he gets on with Conor now, and being back together. And what are your thoughts on how he'll be feeling today? And I mentioned earlier about, just coming back from injury like that. It's a hard slog, isn't it? And it really takes that mental stature to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. But I've no doubt that, the first day he got back on the training field with the lads, where he was involved in training and not running on the sideline by himself, he was probably buzzing. And I've no doubt he was stepping players right, left and centre, because he was so happy to be involved. And with that brings an almost childish giddiness. And the more games that you play, your confidence grows to match that childish giddiness, if that makes any sense. And look, he's come back in unbelievable shape, but more so he's come back without having lost any of his little bit of extra edge, I thought. As Jonny said there, he just chips the ball over the bar. I just was watching the first conversion that he took when he came back from injury, and I was just like, how did he do that? But then, he just glides over the grass, and his ability, his little X factor, last couple of years, Munster have been missing something like that, and he holds, that key. But, it'd be remiss of me not to sit here like Jonny and speak about JJ. I thought, he's been unbelievable for the last couple of seasons, and I think it's been tough for him since Joey came back in, I've no doubt, but his ability to bounce back from bad situations is probably one of the best I've ever seen. I think, obviously the tough game against Leinster after Christmas, and then be able to kick a drop goal to win it the following week. He has that in his game. So I think if he gets launched off the bench, I have no doubt that he'll look to make his mark, because like Joey, they're both very similar in the way they attack in terms of their ability to try and get a second touch on the ball. That's what Joey Carberry is brilliant at. And to be fair to JJ, he's the same. But look, he'll be just buzzing, I think. You'd love to see that. We were all, talking about, let's not put pressure on him, let's not put pressure on him. At the same time, as supporters, we're all like, give him the ball quickly so we can score all the points. So from that aspect, look, it's brilliant to see him back, and the way he started so seamlessly back in, and you can see it in the lads gravitating towards him on the pitch and stuff. And so look, I'm just absolutely thrilled for him. There's probably no other way to be it, and no matter what happens today for him in terms of his performance, as a Munster fan and as a supporter, it's just unbelievable to have him back in the mix.
Absolutely. I think you guys are excited. I'm excited. Everyone is excited. So it's going to be fantastic. I just wanted to pick up on something and just speaking about players and younger players. And we were talking about the internationals coming back in, but also everyone else. And Tadhg Beirne mentioning there, and I think, was it 53 players he was saying? That's an incredible amount, isn't it? Is that the most that we've had for Munster? I mean, it just shows the strength and depth of our team right now, and it's something to be so proud of, and giving people opportunities. Niamh, we'll start with you again on that one. Just, what did you think when you actually hear that figure 53 coming from Tig? It really just shows the academy players and everyone coming forward. There's a great sense of the future for Munster.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for a lot of those young guys that have come in, they've never really looked out of place. So I think that's probably been the most satisfying aspect. I think their ability to slot in and slot out. And Leinster have been the real flag bearers of that over the last couple of seasons. Their ability to churn out these unbelievable academy prospects into senior rugby and make the transition seem very seamless. I think Munster now have that, and so I think from that aspect, it's been brilliant. I think 53 players. There are times when I was, banging my head off the wall because you'd like to see combinations get more game time together, and these young lads get a run of games. I think for the likes of Ben Healy's, Jack Crowley's, Craig Casey's, these guys, I think you'd love to see them just play more. But to be fair to Van Gran and his coaching ticket, they really gave everybody opportunities. And this game, as you come into the end of the season, anything could happen in terms of performances and injuries, and you've got to have guys that can slot right back in and not be undercooked. And I think that Munster have managed that really well this season. So from a supporter's point of view, and from somebody that's looking in on the outside, they must, training must be so competitive because they're all trying to get one in on top of each other, but also hugely exciting for what's coming down the road.
Absolutely. And I was talking to someone during the week and they were saying, why are we always talking about the young guys? And I'm like, because they are the future, and it is so exciting to see, right, Jonny? I mean, it's just, it's a fantastic look to the future when you see that many getting game time. And what were your thoughts when Tig said that?
Yeah, it just strikes you that, maybe now is the time that Munster are going to overturn Leinster, and you can't say that with complete confidence, but everything is pointing that way. You're used to hearing, Leinster won the Pro14 and they either competed at Europe or they won in Europe, and they used 53, 54, 55 players. And now we're looking at Munster saying the same thing. And if you look across both sides, it's actually embarrassing for Irish rugby what's been left out of this side, out of both sides, So you may look at Leinster and think there's a couple of injuries, leaving guys like Scott Penny, Caelan Doris, Will Connors out of that back row. It's ridiculous. But you can also look at the Munster team when you're talking how is Shane Daly not in here? How is Ben Healy not in here? How are guys like Darren Sweetenham not getting more game time? And it's it's just so competitive now at Munster, with the West Cork lads in particular flying the flag, and Sweets leading the way with that. But I just know from speaking to people, it's really reinvigorated the support. And at home with my brother and my family and my friends, they're watching games because they're looking at this West Cork contingent, and they're really, really excited about it. So everything is going in the right direction. And I think it was only 12 or 18 months ago we were kind of saying Munster need to develop some players, and now we're in a final against Leinster and you're talking about the guys that you're leaving out, and it's crazy the amount of development in the last 12 to 24 months, we'll say. And it's a pity that some of those guys don't get to finish out the season with something that they've built. But that's the way it goes, and that's what happens when you're using 53 players across the season. So it is very, very exciting, and it's just how we harness that a small bit more, I suppose, and how those guys will, it's more than just being on that pitch, it's the training pitch. And I'm sure it's probably hard to get on a training pitch in Munster and Leinster at the moment. You're 15 on 15 in training. There's another team standing on the sideline that think they should be starting, so that's the embarrassment that's there at the moment, and yeah, it's obviously great to see.
And that's on the field. And then when you look at off the field and the coaching, you really feel, you get that sense now that, time has given the coaching staff that, that cohesion and that going forward, that really things are coming together now. And that's why, as you said, Jonny, and you said it earlier, Niamh, that you feel like these teams are so equal now, and who's been left out exactly. And it's, I feel like the stars are aligned for today, and then this is our moment. This is our time. And I know it sounds very dramatic, but it does. I have that feeling in my gut that this is, we don't want to leave anything behind. And obviously there are other factors like weather today and the refereeing and the bounce of the ball. There is all that, but we have done our job now with our set pieces, and we're going to work a bit, on the basics, as Johan said earlier, and going forward. But what are the key parts, Niamh, today that we've got to be looking for? Discipline obviously is important. We don't want to leave anything behind. We don't want to be looking and saying, any penalties and stuff like that. And even just with the refereeing, I know it's a different game now, quite rightly, with head injuries and safety being so paramount and stuff. So that kind of changes things slightly as well. So looking at today for you, what are the pieces that we really need to focus on?
Yeah, look, I think the set piece is going to be really, really important because it'll give us that platform to be able to play the way we want to play and with ball in hand. I think that's going to be really important. I think, Damien Delande has come in and he's done unbelievably well in patches, but for me, it needs to be a little bit more consistent. So it's going to be really important for him today to take that physical battle to Robbie Henshaw. And likewise, Chris Farrell, I think, it's been probably a strange few weeks for him in terms of being up with Ireland and not getting, a sniff in really. And so, he hasn't played a lot of rugby. So for him, I'd love him just to get his hands on the ball early so he can have a big carry and that'll settle him into the game. But parity, it's that piece and in terms of the scrum and ability to be able to poach a couple of lineouts from Leinster will go a long way to doing that. I think that back line is probably as potent as Munster have had in a long time. As I couldn't believe that Shane Daly wasn't involved. And then you look at the back line, you're like, well, probably who would you have dropped? And then they're the type of decisions or the hard things that coaching ticket have to take, but also as we as supporters can continue to debate because they give us something to talk about. But I think tie 5 is going to be huge, and if Munster can get on top of that, then I really do believe that they can go and beat Leinster today.
Well, I believe it too, and Jonny, just to go on that point as well, just very quickly, because I'm going to ask you then for your final predictions. What are the pieces that you're looking at today, or items that you'd be looking at?
Yeah, I think Niamh's dead right. Like we've looked at rugby a lot in the last couple of months, up to a year, I suppose, and it's just you can't get away from this set piece. If you can't get your own set piece sorted, you see Ireland destroy Wales' set piece. Unfortunately, things didn't go Ireland's way that day, but I think they can probably have a go off Ronan Kelleher here again today. Like, maybe Devin Toner will give him that little bit of extra height that they might get away with it a bit. But set piece is huge. But I think if you go back to the emotional side of this, Pete is absolutely desperate to be a successful Munster captain. And, we were at a dinner 2 years ago now, and Johan's looking him in the eye from the stage, being like, Pete's going to win something with Munster, and they're having this loving gazing moment up in front of everybody. And I think that's the kind of passion that's there at the moment. But if you think Pete's not going to bring an extra edge because one of his best buddies in that team, Billy, is kind of coming to the end. Fellas like John Ryan, Niall Scannell, James Cronin, Stephen Archer when he comes on, they just can't wait to give something back to Billy and Munster as well. So I think if they can bring that nastiness and stay on the right line of that, I think that's exactly what they need to do. And it goes back to Niamh's point of set piece and winning the tight 5 and winning the forward battle, because that's what it's going to take. Yeah, the back line is as potent as it's been and they're going to finish things off nicely, but they have to get that little bit nastier up front and nearly intimidate that Leinster side and thinking that, Jesus, we're not up to it today. We can't beat this side today, and that's what they have to bring.
Well, now I'm afraid I'm going to have to be the nasty one, and it's that time I know every rugby commentator loves when the host asks them, what are the predictions for today? So, ladies first, Niamh, what are you thinking?
Yeah, look, I think, I've already nailed it on. I think Munster will win. I think the importance of this game is too much for Munster in terms of obviously the emotional aspect of Billy and CJ and other players that won't be back, and also for the development and the evolution of the squad. I think they've coaching ticket has come in and they've subtly changed things, not one big drop of a bomb already and trying to change things around. They've just done it very subtly, and what they've done is really improved it. So I think I just wish they would play now with no fear. Just go and be courageous in every decision that they make, and every decision they make they back each other up on, and if that's the case, then Munster win.
Well, there you go, be courageous. That's Niamh's slant, and she's going for Munster. Jonny, no pressure. What do you say?
Yeah, I have to agree. Like, I think Munster by the smallest couple of points, and you might get dramatics in the end with a CJ turnover, Billy Holland stealing the line out and hack it backwards off the field or something and get out of there. We'd absolutely take it. But I hope we don't get carried away with ourselves. But if you're not back in Munster today, I think we don't have any belief. And this is, like you said, the time that Munster need to step up and do it, or it could be another while before they get a chance. So we have to back them and go with Munster and hope that they follow through.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thank you so much. I'm going to leave you for the moment. Don't forget, we want your hashtag never stop competing moments. So you'll be watching along with everybody else. So we're going to invite you, of course, to come back in just a moment. You are tuned to Munster Rugby at Home with thanks to Bank of Ireland. Hashtag never stop competing. We want you to continue tweeting throughout the game. We want your big moments of the game. And also, don't forget, you can go now to TG Gower Air to enjoy the game. But don't forget to join us at halftime. We want to see you back here for more analysis. Thanks to our special guests, and we will talk to you soon. Come on, Munster!
The values of Munster definitely lie big time here in Bantry Bay. I suppose it doesn't matter where we are. Munster Rugby, from the top to the bottom, have always been extremely supportive of Bantry Bay for the simple reason it takes a community or a village to raise a player. We mightn't have the best facilities, but we have great volunteers, and volunteers always want to learn and work along with Munster Rugby and try and produce those players, I suppose, that might hopefully represent the province. Look, everyone within the club in the surrounding areas was extremely proud the day Fineen walked onto that pitch and represented Munster. We are a small club, never had much, and to see a player to get to that level is words don't describe that. We're in the west of Cork, right on the edge of the sea. Ground is fairly humpy, bumpy and mountainous. We'll have to try and create a piece of flat ground for the club. We're creating land where God failed. We have a local family here. They came one Sunday and they stood all the poles. And then again, there's a few electricians in the club. They wired it all up. And then, in fairness, there was a local sponsor said that he'd cover the cost of the lights for the pitch. Anything they can do, people can do to get people out playing. There's no problem. When you ask for help, you get the help around here. Everyone pulls together.
Hi, it's Katrina Tierney here again with you with our Munster Rugby at Home, sponsored of course by Bank of Ireland. Never stop competing. Well, it's been fast and furious and it is all square at the RDS in this big final today. So we're going to chat once again to our special guests in studio. Welcoming back Niamh Briggs and Jonny Holland. Well, guys, I don't know about you, but that's not a good game for the heart, is it? Niamh, that was unbelievable right from the off. As I said, fast and furious. The pace is unbelievable. The weather not so great too. But what are your first impressions?
Yeah, I think Munster have done incredibly well to go in 6-all. I think Leinster really came out of the traps firing. Their pace that they put onto the ball, their ability to generate quick ball at the ruck is it's probably what makes them, so good and one of the top teams in Europe. I think Munster's grit, determination, I think that's probably never in doubt, but it seems to have gone to another level today because they've really hung on in there. And sometimes if you can hang in there enough, and allow teams to have their purple patch, you can turn that tide. And I hope in the second half that's the case.
Absolutely. Jonny, what were your thoughts after watching that?
Yeah, Niamh's right. Munster going in a 6-all, you wonder how we're even there. The amount of possession that Leinster have had, the wasted opportunities that they've had, and how narrow Munster have gotten in defence. I was surprised that Damien de Allende has gotten so narrow there. Maybe it's because of Robbie Henshaw and the ability he's playing with at the moment, and it's just turning his hips in a small bit. And I think if Joey can get half a step out, it allows Damien de Allende to get another half a step out. It means that Chris Farrell's not so narrow, and then you don't get Keenan and Larmour and Dave Kearney in a small bit of extra space on the edge where Keith Earls is backtracking. So it's very difficult. The Munster defence has been absolutely ferocious. John Klein is a man mountain, and some of the breakdown work, I don't think it's been rewarded. I think Mike Adamson maybe listened to Leo Cullen a little bit too much, and hasn't really rewarded some of the Munster kind of defensive breakdown. But it's been absolutely ferocious. It's been class to watch. But geez, on this side of it, it's I think I was just fully tense for the whole thing. I don't think I relaxed for any stage of that, because at any stage I felt like if Leinster got that try, CJ and Gavin Coombs, unbelievable stuff to get under that. I think there's been a lot of clever plays. Scott Fardy going down Joey's channel after he's had to try to retreat away from a narrow hit from Robbie Henshaw. It's just really, really intelligent stuff. But Ty Byrne did it on the other side, where he saw Ross Byrne kind of creeping up the ruck and picked and went at him, and you can hear him shouting on the microphone the whole time, he's offside, and some really, really intelligent stuff, but absolutely frantic and ferocious pace as well.
Absolutely. I think it's only a game that a neutral could watch without having their heart in their mouth. That's just the way I felt all the way through that, and it just went so quickly. Niamh, we were chatting there just saying, of course, the defence, unbelievable. Keith Earls as well. Right place, right time. He always seems to have that knack, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when I saw him pop up there, I just looked at my housemate and I was like, how did he get there? I think looking at another incredibly piece of defensive work by Earlsy. I think he's one of the best in the business at it, and his ability to read the play before it happens. I think he's got Munster out of jail so many times before, but especially today. I even think he forced Lachlan into trying to pass to Larmour, that coming down the edge there, and it went out over the touchline. So I think Munster, as Jonny said, have been fighting like skullduggery that's going on around the ruck is funny to watch, and it's nuts that it's not been pinged a bit. I thought there was a couple of high tackles that were a little bit dodgy, and especially in the way the game has gone, I really thought they'd have a look at it. But Munster have done unbelievably well, and I think going in at half time they'll be buoyed by the fact that they haven't had their hands on the ball too much, and when they've managed to put a few phases together, they've created half little line breaks and managed to put Leinster under pressure, and that's what they'll be looking to do for the second half.
Absolutely. What are your thoughts, Jonny, on the reffing so far?
It's a tough one because every breakdown has been contested, and if you looked at every breakdown, if you slowed it down, if you look back in analysis, you could say, well, we could get that one. But likewise, you could say, you see CJ kind of dipping to a knee slightly, and maybe I'm listening to Leo Cullen as well. But at the same time, I think Leinster are flying into that, and they're so conscious of Munster going at their ball. They're kind of flying in at feet, and I just feel like they're a little bit off their feet as well. So look, in fairness, it's adding a little bit of spice, and it's adding a competition at the breakdown, which is what we definitely want to see, instead of just the referee blowing his whistle all the time. But I think in this studio we're allowed to have our jerseys on, our red flags behind us, and look, it feels like we could get a little bit more. But like Niamh alluded to, you keep a team like that out for so long, and you go in at 6-6. And if you can go out in the second half and all of a sudden kind of up the intensity a small bit, Leinster will be looking at themselves going, we've thrown everything at this. How in God's name are we not, 2 tries up? And maybe they could have been only for their own kind of waste as well, which we're not really used to. Now, if you saw another team like that and you can come out in the second half and kind of have a go off it, maybe they'll start to crumble and lose their confidence. But I think, to be fair to Leinster in this one, they've had all the line breaks, besides Gavin Coombs getting a couple there at the end through his own sheer strength. I think they've had all the opportunities, so I don't think you're going to kill their confidence straight away in the next 10 minutes, but you can definitely start to turn the tide a bit. But I'd like to know what's going on with that wind a little bit more. I don't know who it's in favour of. I felt like we were into it, but maybe that's just the way Leinster played, and we struggled to exit as well, So a lot of pressure there, but hopefully we can start to turn that a small bit more in the second half.
Absolutely. Niamh, Jonny makes a great point there. Psychologically, I mean, they're, usually so clinical, Leinster, and there might be that little point of frustration at the moment that, we're going in with 6-6, and we got to, improve on that. And the points are the most important thing, obviously, but that has to be hurting Leinster a little bit. And hopefully, if we can go forward in the next half and kind of build on that psychologically, how do you think they'll be feeling in the dressing room? What do you think Leo will be saying to them right now?
Yeah, look, if I'm coaching Leinster, I'm just telling them literally you're only one pass away from unlocking this Munster defence. I think, they've had so many half chances, full chances, and not taking them, which, as you said earlier on, has been something that we're not accustomed to. I think, but that's just down to sheer pressure for Munster. I think, they're forcing them into making decisions earlier than they usually have to at times. So from that point of view, I think if from Leinster, you're just thinking, look, just take an extra step, square your hips a small bit more, and see the pass before you do it. And but from a Munster point of view, I think they've just got to be a little bit more ruthless now. They've got to be able to not leave any more points behind. 2 kicks missed, I think. While difficult and in these conditions, I think, when you get into scoring positions, you can't take your foot off, and you can't leave them behind you, because Leinster are just too good and they'll keep coming back.
Absolutely, Jonny. Just as Niamh is saying there, going forward, it's only a matter of time if this pressure keeps coming that they are going to get in, and we have to have that in our mind. So I suppose we talked about Leo there. What would you be saying now if you're Johan to the guys?
Well, I think we finished that half stronger. We were very, very physical with Gavin Coombs. Obviously, like I said, Pete has had a couple of carries, and we're starting to get there now. And I think I've mentioned that midfield getting a little bit narrow, but I think you saw a couple of phases there that Damien Diolanda is getting a little bit out, maybe a small bit wider, and getting out the back of that kind of loop play that Leinster are playing. So, I think you'd be kind of trying to pump their tyres a small bit, to be fair. I think Johan has to go in there and go, you're right in this game, and yeah, we need to pick it up a small bit. But, you look at the last couple of games that they've played against each other, look back at Leinster's results, and you'll see 30-odd, 40-odd, and throw the points that they score all the time. And then you go back to the Munster game, and it's always the game they don't score. They score 12 points, they score 18 points, whatever it is. So that Munster defence is doing something to Leinster now. You can say that Leinster are a little bit wasteful, obviously, but, there is something in that Munster defence that Leinster don't like playing into. And, if you look back at a little bit of history as well, Munster haven't scored for large periods against Leinster in the last couple of games. 70 minutes, I think, a couple of games back, they just didn't score. But they've kind of broken that now. They scored early on in the half, they scored later on in the half. They won't have those kind of stats coming back at them after the game. So I think if you can juggle those couple of things, where after getting a little bit more comfortable in defence, where we're looking like we can maybe score a bit more, and I think you have to kind of double down on that and hope that a little bit of luck goes your way. But like girls, the harder you work, the luckier you get. And I think hopefully there's something for us here in the second half.
Well, that's what we want to hear. The hashtag never stop competing never rang so true. And thanks to Bank of Ireland, of course, for sponsoring today. We'll be back with you guys, of course, at full time. But we are asking you to keep those tweets coming in. It has been fast and furious at the RDS. So hashtag never stop competing. We want to hear from you guys today. Don't forget, you can go and join the game again on TG Gahar or Air. But we want to see you back here for post-match analysis. Come on, Munster.
The Munster way, it's making the best of any situation, and I think in Bantry for the majority of my teenage years we had no pitch. It was just always about the community, so like it's one thing I've learned over the years is that there is people in your community, I can promise you, that want to see you do well and they want to push you and they want to help you. So I was lucky that I had these people to lean on, and even though we didn't have the shower facilities and all that, we were lucky enough that there was a good group of young fellas and a great coach like Eugene to believe in us. Like, even though we didn't have a lot, you know, we tried to make the best of what we had, like, you know.
Hi, it's Katrina Tierney here again with Munster Rugby at home. Well, it's been a heartbreaking result at the RDS as Leinster, of course, taking the cup once again. We're going to go back to our guests in studio, the lovely Niamh Briggs and Jonny Holland, to discuss the game. We'll start with you, Jonny. Heartbreaking, backbreaking stuff, just physical, non-stop. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, like I suppose it's hard to be disappointed and upset with that after the way the second half played out. Like, you know, if it's closer like that at the end, it's hard to take. Like, but I think, you know, Leinster showed their class, and the things that we probably hoped for pre-game and hoped for it at halftime, they came and answered all the questions, and you know they fully deserve it. So I don't know. I think, like, you know, one way of dealing with it is that there's no one else catching up with them, but it looks like we're a step further away than what we thought as well. So I suppose not to change our tune. Like, Munster have developed a lot. And we can't change some of our comments from pre-match, but at the same time, you know, they were wasteful in the first half. We would read it one way when the game is in the balance, but now that the game is not in the balance anymore, you know, they controlled very large parts of that game, and very, very hard to stop. I'm just looking at Jack Conan being named man of the match, and you couldn't pick a more deserving winner, I think.
Niamh, it was an exhausting game from start to finish for the players and for us as fans to watch. What was your take?
Yeah, I think incredibly disappointed. You know, I think Leinster did their homework and did it incredibly well, because they started Munster possession and quality possession in zones that Munster could have, you know, fired a shot, and unfortunately they weren't able to do that. I think sometimes, as hard as this is to say, you got to hold your hands up and say Leinster were excellent in nearly every facet of the game. I thought at half time, you know, the fact that we had clung on so much in the first half, maybe we might have been able to shift that momentum, but Leinster came out straight away in the second half, and you know, were clinical in their first visit in 22. So yeah, for you know, I think as a player you can't really have too much complaints, unfortunately. And you know, the battles that we spoke about beforehand, unfortunately Munster didn't come out on the right side of them. So yeah, back to the drawing board. I think they'll have a big job to pick themselves up for next week. I think the only, you know, probably positive note in it is that you know, they're playing at home in Thomond Park, and even when they don't have a crowd, you know, it's still a fortress for them. So but yeah, look, I think they'll definitely be bitterly disappointed after that.
Yeah, well, look, there is that saying, you know, it's you're not defeated if you lose, only if you quit. And certainly they didn't quit. And as you said, we're looking forward now to the game next week, as you said, at home, Thomond Park. And we look forward to that. Jonny, you're looking forward to that. And what can we do going on from this?
Yeah, like I spoke with that blueprint of Ireland and England before the game. We didn't really take it up. But luckily, there's two sides to this, I suppose. It's fortunate and unfortunate that you're facing a Toulouse side who will do all of what Leinster have just done. Like, they'll bring all the physical side to it. They've got a massive pack. They've also got that excitement out in the back line as well. So you could look at it that we've got our trial run for a massive European game. I think it's strange that that Europe is kind of going on past what we always feel is the last game of the season here in the Pro14 final. Like, it feels like the lads should be going away and not going on holidays this time, but like, it feels like the season is over. But it's going to be very, very emotionally taxing to pick yourself back up for next week and face a Toulouse side like that. But I suppose the positive is that we'll see what's coming. If you don't learn your lesson from not getting possession and not being able to play any bit of rugby, really, like, I think we have to learn that going into next week. But the credit is to Leinster. Like, they didn't give us the ball back. You know, I find it frustrating that people would say, like, you know, Munster kicked the ball away at times. Leinster kicked that ball in our half as well, transferred the pressure, did it quite well. We spoke with the aerial game. Again, they answered it. Like, they won that aerial game, and no less than Conan picking the ball out of the air and making that rampaging run that probably made all the difference in the end. Like, you know, so yeah, you can look at it as a positive that we can build on it, but it's going to be a very tough positive to take at the moment.
It is. But speaking of positives, we've been talking throughout the game about our fantastic sponsor, Bank of Ireland, and they have the hashtag Never Stop Competing. So just quickly before we go, Niamh, your moment for Munster where they never stop competing.
Yeah, I think it's summed up probably in Keith Earl's ability to probably force the issue or bring us into half-time with, you know, a 6-all parity, I think, because he made two big moments in that first half where he forced Rory Loughlin into trying to pass to Jordan Larmour out the pitch, and then that intercept in the 22. So my moment, never stop competing moment is definitely Keith Earl's defence.
And what about you, Johnny?
Yeah, I suppose there's probably a couple of never stop competing moments for Munster, but they're all defensive. So I think you look at Leinster and they're quite attacking moments, and that Jack Conan one stands out. But if you look at Munster, you had CJ and Gavin Coombs holding them up over the line. I know there was a second one. I don't think it was as clear cut as how the two lads did it. Obviously, Earl's intercept and backpedaling and grabbing the ball is a big one. I'd love to give Billy one with his turnover on Luke McGrath at 75 minutes on the clock, and he has a big tackle there and a turnover to get back possession, hopefully to try and go and get something out of the game, but it's just not to be. So, unfortunately, the never stop competing moments are a little bit too defensive for us to go and win the game. But like you said, they didn't quit and they didn't stop, and that's what we expected of them. So I think they've done us proud, but it's just a bit unfortunate.
Well, thanks a million to you guys, and we'll look forward to next week. And thanks to you guys at home. Thanks to our sponsors, Bank of Ireland, #NeverStopCompeting. And don't forget to join us here at Munster Rugby at Home next week, next Saturday, when we take on Toulouse in the final 16 of the Champions Cup.